was like the perfect song, and you let us sing along. Now you're gone, but your spirit soars in our hearts forevermore.
Hi, welcome to the show, I Pressed On, a show about depression and rearranging the word for something more positive. I'm your host, Brian Chrysagas, and this is my co-host, Barbie Segaris. We are thrilled you joined us today. We have a really interesting show with an actor who has appeared on The Guardians of Galaxy, Blue Ridge, Lawless. He's did a whole bunch of shows like Nashville and many other shows. We are going to talk to him today. Tom Proctor, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome.
And although you have done so many television shows and that you had some kind of wonderful blessings of how many shows you've been on, you also have a very serious subject that we're going to be talking on, which to me, it's just, first off, I want to say I'm so sorry for your loss, but 1,300 deaths and 2 million injuries a year happen because of domestic violence. And as hard as that is to believe, it's even harder when it actually hits home and it becomes part of your life. Your daughter was married to a man who brutally murdered her. And I don't even know how to express how hard that would be, but I do want you to know how sorry we are, because that's a horrible thing to go through. And could you tell us a little bit about this situation?
Yeah, it's really been kind of weird for me because I thought I was okay, hold on. I'm not losing it. I'm really not. I'm going to hold it together. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
That's okay.
That's fine.
I thought I was the man that made my family immune from this, because years and years ago, in my other life, I was also a full contact fighter. I grew up with a mom without a dad at home, and she was always dating men that thought it was okay to knock around women, and I got a lot of my fight practice in on them. And I worked in Phoenix, Arizona. I ran a martial arts school, doing cage fights and everything like that. I held the heavyweight and super heavyweight title. And I always wanted to gear it towards women and having daughters and sisters that I didn't want to abuse. And I worked with Brad Parker, Phoenix Police Department there, and we came up with a program called Rape Escape, which was a simplified self-defense method that would teach women how to fight back and how to not be a victim. And we had extensive studies on it. And, that him having access to police records and everything like that, it was like, okay, so we know that these guys, a rapist who is not going to kill you is not going to kill you. One that is going to, whether you fight back or not. Yes. And it was the same thing in domestic violence. And I watched through that where I would see domestic violence, especially, and I'm just going to beg women right now, when this started out with him just gaslighting her a whole bunch and everything like this, and they can beat her down. And several times when we'd call in the middle of her being beaten, my wife would scream, "Nikki, fight back."
So you knew about it?
We didn't know
that
what
he was.
We didn't know the extreme.
Okay.
When I lived there, lived still in Utah. One time we went over there. She called and he was beating on her, and I went in there, and
it's okay.
I apologize.
No, don't apologize.
My wife would tell me, "Don't kill him, don't kill him." Only hit him open-handed, because if you hit him close fist, you'll kill him. And I said, I'm not going to hit him at all. And I come in there, and then he would come running at me like and say, well, she did this, and boom. And I got him down and slapped him around and choked him and says, how do you like this? That's what you do to Nikki. How do you like it? How do you like it? And he sat there just calling to my wife, Concha, make him stop, make him stop. And I looked up and seen Concha looking at a man that was a little bit of a monster and capable of killing someone.
Wow. Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, you touch a woman and it is...
She loved him still, though, right? She loved him no matter how many times he abused her.
We would tell her, get restraining orders. One time she finally called the cop. The cop showed up in the middle of it, gave her a protection order, took him away, and she let him back in. Everything like this. And I've had this problem, you know. There's a song on YouTube called 47 Harleys, which is literally about my other daughter that was going through an abusive relationship. And I realized the man was not with the only, she did get restraining orders. He ignored them. And that was the point where I decided I'm done with this guy. I'm ready to go to prison. Hell, my life in prison ain't that long. But I knew it was going to be a gunfight. And I said to myself, how many friends do I got that will go with me, knowing that I'm going to prison and they're all going to jail? I made a list. It was 47 of them. They were all Harley riders, most of them 1%ers.
Wow.
And we were ready to ride when the problem went away. But that's what the song 47 Harleys is all about. And the strange thing on this one, we kept trying to get, I always am about doing awareness. And I did a movie called Guilt that was shot in Eric and Nikki's house in the daughter got killed house. And it was about a narcissistic guy, but I made it all about a musician that had a trophy wife. And I changed the story enough that they wouldn't recognize that I'm shooting their story right in their own house. And in the movie, he accidentally kills her and then kills himself out of the guilt.
Wow.
But in real life, there was no accident to it. No. And people, they if you lived in a trailer park, everybody would say, oh yeah, you know, no problems. Well, you got people living in an over $1 million home and everything on the outside appears to be, you know, driving
Picture perfect. Yeah.
Picture perfect. And she was such a beautiful girl. And when I apologize again. I know I'm messing your show up.
Yeah, please.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. No.
Take your time. But how old was she?
She's 40 something, 42 or 34. I lose track when they quit calling me daddy.
Did he end up killing himself, or did he go to jail?
Oh, he's in jail right now.
He's in jail.
I mean that he didn't do it. He's he hired some real high priced lawyer who's trying to get a lot of evidence not admissible because of the way it was acquired. You know, I mean, how do you acquire something? You know, I don't want to go dark on your show. I really don't. I just want.
Feel free. This is your story, and this is going to minister to other people.
Right. What you would tell our audience, or if there's a woman out there going through that right now that thinks she has no way out.
Lighting. A man that will gaslight a woman is a man who will eventually punch her. And a man that will graduate from punching a woman, gaslighting to punching, will eventually kill her. I cannot count the number of times on the phone I told her, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he kills you.
Wow.
I had all the studies from Phoenix Police Department. I know this monster, and
But I
but
still know cases where the police are called 6, 7 times and they
mhm,
get there, and because the woman doesn't say he did it, even though that's what they called on the phone about and that's what the 911 call
mhm,
says, when the
mhm.
police get there and the woman doesn't admit it, they don't take the guy away. They might take him outside, might be drunk, and they talk to him for a few minutes. And they might
Well,
have been there 6, 7, 8 times, the police, and they don't do
there,
anything.
this was a situation where she had called her brother, and he could just hear what was going on
Mm-hmm.
and her screaming, and so it's kind of like a butt dial, but it was intentionally so.
She could get help.
And he lived in Salt Lake City, 4 hours from there. Uh, he jumped in the car immediately and drove 100 miles an hour down because he could tell she couldn't even talk. Her throat was swollen.
Wow.
And when he got there, and I will totally understand if you edit this part out,
It's okay.
but she was on the bed completely naked, bruises on top of old bruises. Nobody knew the extent of the abuse.
Wow.
And he went to exit. Her brother came in and said, "You killed my sister," and he said, "No, I didn't." He went to leave, and the brother pushed him back. Said, "You're waiting here till the cops get here." The brother was so panicked, he tried CPR on a body that had been dead for over 2 hours.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh.
And so he's traumatized. The kids are all over 21, but they're still devastated. They basically lost both their parents,
Right.
and
They did.
uh, my wife's going back there for the holidays, and then she's going to stay for the preliminary hearing to let this jerk know that the family's in support.
So when did this happen? Was this it's
Uh,
really fresh still.
Labor Day weekend, that's 60 days
Wow.
ago. Yeah,
Oh, it
Wow.
just happened. I'm so sorry.
and he's got high end lawyers. They're going to drag this through court, and in the meantime, there's the kids. There's a house and assets that the kids can't get access to that went in his name, and there's also a big life insurance policy that I'm sure was part of his motivation. If the man had a soul, he would simply plead guilty, sign everything over to the kids so they could at
I
least
agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Confess and
at least go on with their life. But he's not going to do that. He's going
horrible.
My
Yeah.
my question for you is, how is it possible to, for parents who are out there, how is it possible for them to, because you only knew so much. You had some warning signs, but there are probably a bunch of parents who are not getting even the warning signs that you got. Most women who are abused, they'll make up a story and say, "Oh, I ran into a door, or I fell down a flight of stairs, or something." What was the triggering part where you actually thought he's going to kill her, so that parents out there know before
When
something
I
happens?
saw it escalate, when I saw him. I knew, I didn't see, but knew he was choking her. And she would tell us, oh, he's not drinking and he's better and all this bull crap. And we put him in detox. They sent him to detox, I don't know how many times. But my guilt comes in to the fact that I'm the man that taught classes telling people when you see abuse,
Yes.
when you see abuse, whatever abuse you witness, times it by 20 minimum.
Wow.
Times it by 20, and I will take that back and say times it by 100. Because there was no part on her body that wasn't bruised.
Oh my goodness.
There was no part that didn't have old bruises on top of new bruises. And we called the police there and said, we knew Cody was 4 hours out. We said, we need you to go by this address, go in and do a wellness check. Police got there, St. George police got there, said, oh, well, there's no one answering it and it's all quiet. We don't have probable cause. And I says, the fact that this man has several times domestic violence and we're telling you, and okay. And
so they didn't go in. The police didn't go in.
They wouldn't go in. They said they didn't have probable cause. And that was my wife just reminding me not to say any names because it is a pending court.
Because of the lawsuit, yeah.
My question to you once again, and I'm so sorry because I'm overwhelmed by this.
Me too.
But, okay, your grandchildren are 20-some years old, so she was married to him for a very long time.
Very long time.
What did it start as soon as she you know, I mean, was it all through their marriage, or did it start
when they were dating?
From when they were dating, everybody in the family did not want her to marry him because he would gaslight her. He would, do things to make her feel bad about herself. Nothing ever physical, though. And then when the kids were small and the kids coming up, he was like a good dad to the kids, getting them up for basketball, getting them up for their games, and all that. So the kids are torn right now because they have those
memories, good memories.
Those good memories and everything like that. And then it's just when you see it, you got to get out, and you got to start by knowing that abuse is abuse. I don't care if I don't lay a hand on you. I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, I do this in movies all the time. I come up and get right in somebody's face, and I can tell the other actors is actually intimidated. That's been my calling card. I can get in your face, intrude your space, and make you afraid of what I might do next. And any way you look at it, that's abuse.
Yes.
That's end of conversation. That is abuse. In my opinion, if a man, stronger, bigger and stronger, does so much as tell a woman to shut up, that's abuse. Because it's not a fair battleground. It is not a fair battleground.
No. And yet, I want to address something else because, not going into details, but one of my family members were abused, but it was the opposite. It was the woman abusing the man.
Yes.
And they automatically thought he was lying. So where does he go? He decided to keep his mouth shut. So because it makes him look less manly if he's
weak.
letting his wife. So no matter what abuse, if a woman is, whether the woman's abused or whether the man's abused, it doesn't matter if they hit them, if they demean them, it's all the same. So if you are getting abused and they're not respecting you, I love the quote that somebody said, stay where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And that's where they have to realize, I'm not being celebrated here. I need to get out.
Yep. That's true, and a good point there. Nikki got to where she was afraid to call the cops because he would jump up, hold his hands up. I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it. And then the cops would question both of them, which they have to do. The cops have to, in detail, question both of them. But this tends to make the other person also feel like they're responsible, that they did something. You know, when you get questioned like a criminal, the first thing that's going to enter your mind is that, so was it my fault? Did I do something wrong? Did I cause this in some way? You know, that line of question is how high-end lawyers get rape charges dropped, by questioning the girl's integrity and her intentions and trying to make it look like that she brought it on and everything like this. And I'm sorry, I'm going to just spit it out like a damned old redneck. There is I don't care if my wife comes swinging at me with knives and a frying pan.
Just going to say
There
that.
is no reason
I
in
don't
the
care if
world
she
for
brought
me.
it on or not.
I don't
Yes.
give a shit if I'm not man enough to handle that without. Now I do. It's like I told guys that were dating my sister. I said, you can yell at her, you can call her names. If she yells at you, you can yell back, lay a hand on her, and I'll break your legs.
Yeah,
That's just the way it is. You know,
Right.
you're not.
Right.
You don't get to do that.
You don't get to justify it. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get to impose yourself on anyone, and I don't care if it's a man arguing with another man over a baseball game. You don't get to push and act big just because you're bigger than the guy you're having the argument with.
absolutely.
You know, the only, like I tell people, I says, the only argument that can be solved by a fight is if you tell me I can whip your ass in a fight.
Yeah.
Well, we can solve that argument by fighting.
Yeah.
Anything else can only be solved by talking through that particular argument.
This is so fresh that I know there can't possibly be any forgiveness for this man at this point, because I was thinking, how in the world, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
And
How do
for
you
the
press
audience,
on?
how do you press on? And it's so real and so raw that you probably don't know how to press on at this point because your world has just come crumbling down around you.
This is going to be really hypocritical on my part, because God has, and I'm not preaching to anybody, I'm just telling how it is, has stepped in and gave me tons of blessings, blessed me with my work, my music. My fan base is all just so amazing. Blue Ridge and Farhaven and Birthright Outlaw, all really good family themed movies that my grandkids can watch, and God has helped me, and I'll just suffice it to say he have a little bit of a past, and he's got no real reason to help me. And there was times where I was angry with him and said things I might not should have ought to said, but and so I think there's somehow, for some reason, been forgiveness from him and forgiveness in my life because I'm here and doing well. Hell, my wife still puts up with me. I drug her all over the damn country. But I don't think that I would ever be capable of forgiving him. You know, especially especially if he gets off on this.
Oh, that would be
yeah, no.
horrible.
Yeah.
But
You know,
all I can say to you is because we're running out of time, we have like 2 minutes left, and all I can say to you, because I'm not walking in your shoes or anything, but I will say for your own benefit, so that it doesn't kill you, because unforgiveness, you don't need to forgive him, just move on. But for yourself, you need to forgive him so you don't hold on to that, because it will kill you. And that's really the only lesson that I could say for people who are watching this, because I will just compare it to one thing. God sent Jesus to this earth to die for all of us, and there was really no reason for him to crucify his own son. But in those words that Jesus said on that cross was, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." And who was it for? It was for him to be able to forgive everybody who came after that. But you're going to have to just release it so it doesn't kill you, as Jesus did.
you are so right. And I'm the big brother of 5 sisters that always, solve problems by smashing somebody in the face. And if a boy showed up and disrespected my sister, his face was going to need work, and so was his car. But and my wife and I, who I've always said, coffee in the morning with her is more fun than most kids will have at Disneyland. And lately, our coffee in the morning is discussing how many different ways we can kill this sucker. And you're right, it's not healthy. We both realize our advice to somebody else on our same show was forgive and move on. You just, like I said,
It's not
press
so
on.
easy, though.
Right.
Yes.
But
Tom, I want to say a quote for you. I just want to say a quote for you that God has heard your prayers and he has seen your tears.
Amen.
Amen.
We've run out of time, Tom. I want to thank you for being on our show. You honestly have just moved us. But we're out of time, but thank you so much, Tom. We love you and we're praying for you. God bless you.
okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Your life was like the perfect song, and you let us sing along. Now you're gone, but your spirit soars in our hearts forevermore. You lived each day with fierce resolve. You shared God's love and hearts evolved.